Hello everybody, my name is Georgi Grimm and today I want to talk to you guys about the Bermuda Triangle and the conspiracy theories and mysteries surrounding this topic. But I also want to mention the mysteries about the Bermuda Triangle have been solved. So I guess this video is more of not just really a conspiracy theory video, but it's a used to be conspiracy theory, now has been solved video. So it has an actual proper ending to it this time, which is good. So I'm gonna start by giving you the history, I guess, about what the Bermuda Triangle is and why people have found this to be really interesting and what has happened. Basically, what the Bermuda Triangle is that it is a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have just disappeared mysteriously with no reason being for why they have disappeared, which has led people to believe that the cause of this has been aliens or paranormal activity or supernatural forces. But I am here to tell you that that's actually not true. So basically, some reputable sources dismiss the idea that there's any mystery to this at all. And the vicinity of the Bermuda Triangle is one of the most heavily traveled shipping lanes in the world, with ships frequently cross through it for parts in the Americas, Europe, and the Caribbean islands. Cruise ships and pleasure craft regularly sail through the region, as well as commercial and private aircraft that routinely fly over it. So as you can see that with all of these aircraft and ships that constantly go through this area without any issue at all, it leads some people to wonder, okay, but why are some of these others just disappearing out of nowhere? So the incidents about these ships and aircraft disappearing have been documented, and it's said that a significant percentage of these incidents were spurious, inaccurately reported, or embellished by later authors. So basically fake, in short. So let's give you a history about what the triangle is. In 1964, Vincent Gaddis wrote in the pulp magazine Argosy of the boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle, giving its vertices as Miami, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. Subsequent writers did not necessarily follow this definition. Some writers gave different boundaries and vertices to the triangle, with the total area varying from 1,300,000 to 3,900,000 kilometers. I know what km is now. It means kilometers. Hell yeah. Consequently, determination of which accidents occurred inside the triangle depends on which writer reported them. So the origins of this go back to the earliest suggestion of unusual disappearances in the Bermuda area, which started to appear in September in 1950. The exact date is September 17th, 1950. In an article published in the Miami Herald by Edward Van Winkle Jones, 2 years later, Fate magazine published See Mystery at Our Back Door, a short article by George X, sand covering the loss of several planes and ships, including the loss of Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers on a training mission. Sand's article was the first to lay out the now familiar triangular area where the losses took place. Flight 19 alone would be covered again in the April 1962 issue of the American Legion magazine. In it, author Alan W. Eckert wrote that the flight leader had been heard saying, "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, no white." He also wrote that officials at the Navy Board of Inquiry stated that the planes flew over to Mars. That's weird. Sand's article was the first to suggest a supernatural element to the Flight 19 incident. In the February 1964 issue of Argosy, Vincent Gaddis's article, The Deadly Bermuda Triangle, argued that Flight 19 and other disappearances of a pattern of strange events in the region. The next year, Gaddis expanded this article into a book, Invisible Horizons. So, Lawrence David Couche, which is a very interesting name. I don't know if that's actually his name, so I'm gonna pretend like that's his name. Lawrence David Couche, sure, author of the Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved in 1975, argued that many claims of Gaddis and subsequent writers were often exaggerated, dubious, or unverifiable. Couche's research revealed a number of inaccuracies and inconsistencies between Berlitz's accounts and statements from eyewitnesses, participants, and others involved in the initial accidents. Couche's noted cases where pertinent information went unreported, such as disappearances of round-the-world yachtsman Donald Crowhurst, which Berlitz had presented as a mystery, despite clear evidence to the contrary. Another Another example was the ore carrier, counted by Berlitz as lost without race 3 days out of an Atlantic port, when it had been lost 3 days out of the port with the same name in the Pacific Ocean. Hughes also argued that a large percentage of the incidents that sparked allegations of the Triangle's mysteries influence actually occurred well outside it. Often, his research was simple. He would review period newspapers of the dates of reported incidents and find reports on possibly relevant events, like unusual weather that were never mentioned in the disappearance stories. So basically, in the Bermuda Triangle, strange weather would occur, like tidal waves and really bizarre kinds of weather. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Kush had concluded that the number of ships and aircraft reported missing in the area was not significantly greater, proportionally speaking, than in any other part of the ocean. In an area frequented by tropical cyclones, the number of disappearances that did occur were, for the most part, neither disproportionate, unlikely, nor mysterious. Furthermore, Berlitz and other writers would often fail to mention such storms or even represent the disappearance as happened in calm conditions when meteorological records clearly contradicted this. Some disappearances had in fact never happened. One plane crash was said to have taken place in 1937 off Daytona Beach, Florida, in front of hundreds of witnesses. A check of the local papers revealed nothing. So that never happened, apparently. The legend of the Bermuda Triangle is a manufactured mystery perpetuated by writers who either purposely or unknowingly made use of misconceptions, faulty reasoning, and sensationalism. In a 2013 study of the Worldwide Fund for Nature identified the world's 10 most dangerous waters for shipping, but the Bermuda Triangle was not among them. So when the UK Channel 4 television program, The Bermuda Triangle, 1992, was being produced by John Simmons of the Geofilms for the Equinox series, The Marine Insurance Market, Lloyd's of London was asked if unusually large number of ships had sunk in the Bermuda Triangle area. Lloyd's determined that a large number of ships had not sunk there. Lloyd's does not charge higher rates for passing through this area. United States Coast Guard records confirm their conclusion. In fact, the number of supposed disappearances is relatively insignificant considering the number of ships and aircraft that pass through on a regular basis. The Coast Guard is also officially skeptical of the Triangle, noting that they collect and publish through their inquiries much documentation contradicting many of the incidents written about by the Triangle authors. In one such incident involving the 1972 explosion and sinking of the tanker VA Fog, the Coast Guard photographed the wreck and recovered several bodies. In a contrast with one Triangle author's claim that all the bodies had vanished, with the exception of the captain who was found sitting in his cabin at his desk clutching a cup of coffee. In addition, VA Fog sank off the coast of Texas, nowhere near the commonly accepted boundaries of the Triangle. The Nova Horizon episode of The Case of the Bermuda Triangle aired on June 27, 1976, was highly critical, stating that, quote, "When we've gone back to the original sources of the people involved, the mystery evaporates. Science does not have to answer questions about the Triangle because those questions are not valid in the first place. Ships and planes behave in the Triangle the same way they behave everywhere else in the world," end quote. Skeptical researchers, such as Ernest Taves and Barry Singer, have noted how mysteries and the paranormal popular and profitable. This has led to the production of vast amounts of material on topics such as the Bermuda Triangle. Here are some explanations for what has been talked about for the Bermuda Triangle, for the paranormal explanations, the supernatural, and all the way to the aliens. So, paranormal explanations. It's been said that Triangle writers have used a number of supernatural concepts to explain the events. One explanation pins the blame on leftover technology from the mythical lost continent of Atlantis. Sometimes connected to the Atlantis story is the submerged rock formation known as the Bimini off the island of Bimini in the Bahamas, which is the Triangle by some definitions. Followers of the purported psychic Edgar Cayce take his prediction that the evidence of Atlantis would be found in 1968 as referring to the discovery of the Bimini Road. Believers describe the formation as a road, wall, or other structure, but the Bimini Road is of natural origin. Other writers attribute the events to UFOs. This idea was used by Steven Spielberg for his science fiction film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which features the lost Flight 19 aircrews as alien abductees. Charles Berlitz, author of the various books on an anomalous phenomena, lists several theories attributing the losses in the triangle to anomalous or unexplained forces. Paranormal explanation of the 2005 three-part U.S., British, German science fiction miniseries, The Triangle, says the triangle is a wormhole. Boy, that was a mouthful. Fuck. Now on to the natural explanations. Natural explanations for this. Okay, so compass variations. Compass problems are one of the many cited phrases in triangle incidents. While some have theorized that unusual local magnetic anomalies may exist in the area, such anomalies have not been found. Compasses have natural magnetic variations in relation to the magnetic poles, a fact which navigators have known for centuries. Magnetic compass, north, and geographic true north are only exactly the same for a small number of places. For example, as of 2000 in the United States, only places on a line running from Wisconsin to the Gulf of Mexico. But the public may not be as informed and think there's something mysterious about the compass changing across the area such as the triangle, which it naturally will. The Gulf Stream is a major surface current primarily driven by a thermaline circulation that originates in the Gulf of Mexico and then flows through the Straits of Florida into the North Atlantic. In essence, it is a river within an ocean, and like a river, it can and does carry floating objects. It has a maximum surface velocity of about 2 miles. A small plane making a water landing or a boat having an engine trouble can be carried away from its reported position by the current. One of the most cited explanations in official inquiries as to the loss of any aircraft vessel is human error. Human stubbornness may have caused Harvey Conover to lose his sailing yacht as he sailed into the teeth of the storm south of Florida on January 1st, 1958. Violent weather. Hurricanes and powerful storms that form in tropical waters have historically cost thousands of lives and caused billions of dollars in damage. The sinking of Francisco de Bobadilla's Spanish fleet in 1502 was the first recorded instance of a destructive hurricane. These storms have in the past caused a number of incidents related to the triangle. A powerful downcraft of air cold was suspected to be caused in the sinking of Pride of Baltimore on May 14, 1986. The crew of the sunken vessel noted that the wind suddenly shifted and increased velocity from 20 miles per hour to 60 to 90 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center satellite specialist James Lucian stated, quote, "During very unstable weather conditions, the downburst of cold air from aloft can hit the surface like a bomb, exploding outward like a giant squall line of wind and water." End quote. A similar event occurred to Concordia in 2010 off the coast of Brazil. Scientists are currently investigating whether hexagonal clouds may be the source of these up to 170 mile per hour air bombs. And then finally we have methane hydrates. An explanation for some of the disappearances has focused on the presence of large fields of methane hydrates, which is a form of natural gas, on the continental shelf. Laboratory experiments carried out in Australia have proven that bubbles can indeed sink in scale model ship by decreasing the density of the water. Any wreckage consequently rising to the surface could be rapidly dispersed in the Gulf Stream. It has been hypothesized that periodic methane eruptions, sometimes called mud volcanoes, may produce regions of frothy water that are no longer capable of providing adequate buoyancy for ships. If this were the case, such an area forming around a ship could cause it to sink very rapidly without warning. In this last little part of the video, I'm going to talk about some of the ships and aircraft that have supposedly disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. First one is Ellen Austin. Ellen Austin supposedly came across as a derelict, that's fine. Okay, across a derelict ship, placed on board a prize crew and attempted to sail with it to New York City in 1881. According to the stories, the derelict disappeared. Others elaborating further that the derelict reappeared minus the prize crew and disappeared again with a second prize crew on board. A check from Lloyd's of London records proved the existence of Meta, built in 1854, and that in 1880. Meta was renamed Ellen Austin. There was no casualty casualty listing for this vessel or any vessel at the time that would suggest a large number of missing men were placed on board as a derelict that later disappeared. The next one is USS Cyclops. The incident resulting in the single largest loss of life in the history of the U.S. Navy, not related to combat, occurred when the collier Cyclops, carrying a full load of manganese ore. Manganese, Sure. I don't know. Manganese, I'm bad at words. These are fucking terrible, man. Manganese ore with one engine out of action went missing without a trace with a crew of 309 sometime after March 4th, 1918, after departing the island of Barbados. Although there is no strong evidence of any single theory, many independent theories exist, some blaming storms, some capsizing, and some suggesting that wartime enemy activity was to blame for the loss. In addition, two of the Cyclops' sister ships, Proteus and Nereus, subsequently lost in the North Atlantic during World War II. Both ships were transporting heavy loads of metallic ore similar to that which was loaded on Cyclops during her fatal voyage. In all three cases, structural failure due to overloading with a much denser cargo than designed is considered the most likely cause of sinking. Next is Carroll A. Deering, a 5-masted schooner built in 1919. Carroll A. Deering was found hard aground and abandoned at Diamond Shoals near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, on January 31st, 1921. Rumors and more at the time indicating Deering was a victim of piracy, possibly connected with the illegal rum running trade during Prohibition, and possibly involving another ship, Hewitt, which disappeared at roughly the same time. Just hours later, an unknown steamer sailed near the lightship along the track of Deering and ignored all signals from the lightship. It is speculated that Hewitt may have been this mystery ship and possibly involved in Deering's crew disappearance. The famous Flight 19. Flight 19 was a training flight of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that disappeared on December 5th, 1945, while over the Atlantic. The squadron's flight plan was scheduled to take them due east from Fort Lauderdale for 141 miles, north for 73 miles, and then back again over a final 140-mile leg to complete the exercise. The flight never returned to base. The disappearance attributed by Navy investigators and navigational error, leaving the aircraft running out of fuel. One of the search and rescue aircraft deployed to look for them, a PBM Mariner with a 13-man crew, also disappeared. A tanker off the coast of Florida reported seeing an explosion and observed a widespread oil slick when fruitlessly searching for survivors. The weather was becoming stormy by the end of the incident. According to contemporaneous sources, the Mariner had a history of explosions due to vapor leaks when heavily loaded with fuel, as it might have been for a potentially long search and rescue operation. Weird. Anyways, Douglas DC-3. How many of these are there? My god. On December 28th, 1948, a Douglas DC-3 aircraft numbered NC-16002 disappeared while on a flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Miami. No trace of the aircraft or the 30 people on board was ever found. A Civil Aeronautics Board investigation found there was insufficient information available on which to determine probable causes for the disappearance. So that actually never had any reasoning for why it disappeared. What the fuck? Insufficient information. What? Okay, that one's really strange. So as you can see, the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle has been solved, and there is no mystery anymore, because guess what? All these disappearances have had explanations, and basically the Bermuda Triangle is one thing that the world has finally solved. And as weird as it is, it's one of those things that are a curious thing of, disappearances that happen within the ocean for no reason at all. People often wonder, why did they disappear? And so they'll create conspiracies and they'll theorize and say that, oh, it was the aliens, or oh, it was, some paranormal thing that happened. But 70 years later, found the explanations to why these things have existed and what the actual cause of all these disappearances are. So I hope you liked this video. I'm sorry it was very slow. Please be sure to check back next week because I will have another video as usual. And it'll be a big one, I hope. It'll be pretty interesting. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Share this video to friends, family, and everyone that you know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Okay, thanks, bye.